Ravens, Jets, Lamar Jackson. He's thrown 28 touchdowns, second most in franchise history. Last week, his sixth game this year with at least 3 touchdown passes, most by any quarterback in the NFL. And of course, he has joined Michael Vick as the only quarterbacks with 1,000 rushing yards in a single season. With 23 yards against the Jets tonight, he could break Vick's single season quarterback rushing record. And if he doesn't, he has 2 more games to do it. But with all those rushes come a lot of hits. Jackson has taken 158 hits this season, most among quarterbacks. And this week he popped up on the injury report with a quad, but he made it very clear he's going to play. So, Mina, I'll bring you right in here because we talked about this a little bit earlier. There was some discussion on our set this week. Should they not play him at all tonight on a short week against the Jets? They've made it clear he's going to play. Do you expect it to look vastly different tonight based on trying to protect him and his quad?
No, I expect it to look different because, apologies, they're playing the Jets.
Yes.
It's not the steepest challenge.
I take no offense personally.
But, and the Jets, as you know, are missing the center of their defense, a lot of injuries, so that should make things easier. But the contact issue is an interesting one for me. We saw the stat, right? He takes a lot of hits. Not all hits are created equal. They mentioned Michael Vick. We talk a lot about Cam Newton and all the hits he's taken and how that's added up over the years with the injuries and the surgeries. Lamar Jackson is not used like Michael Vick. He's not used like Cam Newton. Over 70% of his runs are designed. When he takes hits, he often sees it coming. He's able to protect himself. He runs like a running back, and I think it lessens the impact of the contact on him over time.
Yeah, but Dominic, you were bringing up earlier that the hits that Earl Thomas was talking about when saying the officials need to do a better job of protecting him are not those. Everyone immediately associates it with the running, but it's when he's actually back in the pocket and he's not getting the protection some other quarterbacks do.
When you're as good as Lamar Jackson and you're an offensive player and you're also embarrassing defensive players, when they get a chance to hit you, they're going to try to hurt you. And that's going to happen in the pocket. And I agree that they need to protect him, but they can't change the rules. And to your point about the type of hits that he's taking, he's a different style of runner than Cam Newton. Cam Newton, when he gets to the 1-yard line, is going to run through you. Lamar Jackson is going to try to go around you. So even if you tackle him, it's not like it's going to be a flush hit right on his body.
I think a lot of it has to do with style. You know, if we're talking about a classic drop back quarterback, then I think the rest would be more inclined to protect the guy. But because Lamar Jackson, his style is so much different than what we've been accustomed to seeing in the National Football League, I think that's why you're seeing more of these type of hits. But I agree. Listen, if you want to play this style of football, you better be prepared to get these type of hits coming at you if you're Lamar Jackson. So as far as tonight's game, the best thing that the Ravens can do is end it early. End it early with the Jets and get Lamar the heck out of there.
With the potential for injury, the league has been built on quarterbacks forever. They promote their quarterbacks. They are the biggest stars in the sport. You brought up an interesting question in our meeting this morning. Will there be concern about making a running quarterback someone who takes those kind of hits the face of the league because he might get hurt?
I'm sure there are lots of concerns about Lamar Jackson becoming the face of the league, but I do think that matters because we know that if you make him a star, if they put a lot of promotion around him, they will be afraid that they're going to come a big Week 8 game or whatever where the ratings normally dip, and there's a possibility they may not have him. But what happens in the past is Tom Brady gets hit in the knee, one of their biggest stars. We change the rules. Someone lands on Aaron Rodgers a little too hard. Now you can't land on quarterbacks. So it'll be interesting to see if now that all of our quarterbacks, we did that top 5 list, all those quarterbacks are athletic quarterbacks who can run. Now that we have a league that seems to be focused around that, it'll be interesting to see what lengths they go to protect those stars who will be running.
I think it's important to know when dual threat quarterbacks have gotten hurt in the past, it's often been either when they're in the pocket or Cam Newton when they're sort of courting a hit or non-contact injuries. That's how Deshaun Watson got hurt. He wasn't running. So you can't really legislate that out of the game.
Shefty.
I don't know if the league can worry about Lamar Jackson getting hurt and being the face of the team, just like the Baltimore Ravens can't worry about Lamar Jackson playing or getting hurt when they draft him as the quarterback. He has lit up the league. You put the guy out there, you let him play, and you take your chances with the way he does. You hope he's smart about the way he plays. He's been smart. He's taken a lot of hits, but he's still healthy, relatively.
And so at this point, you're telling me earlier, the Jets I guess it is because it's the Jets, at least in part. You think tonight is the night he solidifies the MVP award?
Yeah, I think it's a coronation for the MVP, in my opinion. I think, national primetime game against the Jets. Jets record, otherwise, the Jets have #1 rush defense in the league. You go out there, Lamar Jackson, and you smoke the Jets as far as their defense is concerned, I think that puts a bow on the MVP, in my opinion.
Is the MVP award clearly his?
I think it is at this point.
Yes! We've been fighting about this for several weeks.
It was Russell Wilson for the first half.
I think it's over
for me, but it's over. The last few performances from Russell, I think, scared it for Lamar.
You think it is over because based upon his performance and the fact that the Ravens will be the number 1 seed in the AFC?
They're going to be the number 1 seed. Who at this point could challenge him? If Russell Wilson lit it up down the stretch, would he overtake Lamar Jackson? I don't think so. Patrick Mahomes, I don't think so.
No. I think Russell Wilson's the only other reasonable candidate, right?
It's over. Lamar Jackson, MVP, give him the award.
I mean, I think the Lamar Jackson MVP matters, and I think the point that you made about no one can be concerned about how many hits he takes, I'm not sure that he's taking hits. I can pull up in my mind at least 5 times where Cam Newton just got smacked. I can't do that with Lamar Jackson.
They're going to win the division tonight.
Yeah.
They'll basically take another step towards the number 1 seed. How is he not going to be the MVP?
They have, for all intents and purposes, a game-and-a-half lead right now on the Patriots with 3 games to play, including tonight. So that's our top story this morning. We look ahead to that. But meanwhile, Laura, let's look back at what happened with the league yesterday.
Yeah, you mentioned the Patriots. And speaking at the NFL League meeting, Greeny, on Wednesday, Commissioner Roger Goodell said the league will not rush to conclusions in their probe into the latest Patriots filming controversy. Goodell did add that previous incidents would play a factor in the league's ruling, but that new evidence is key. Bill Belichick was asked again about it yesterday. Here's what he had to say.
The football team, the football staff, and the coaching staff had nothing to do with what happened. Nothing. So we have no involvement in it.
You guys have a scout in the Cleveland press box, so was he aware of the rules that you can't film from the press box?
He was doing his job. That's what he was doing. He was doing his job.
Bill, have you heard from the league at all?
Yeah, I've told you everything. Look, Mr. Kraft made a statement. The team made a statement. That's all I need to add.
Have you reached out
Do not have anything to add.
Zach Taylor?
Do not have anything to add.
Do you have a sense of where the disconnect happened, where the production team?
I don't have anything to add to it. I don't know how many times I need to say that.
All right, in case you missed it, Bill Belichick has nothing to add. But, Shefty, I do think this is interesting because how important is it in all of it that there is a tape that exists on this?
That's everything here because, again, there are people who are not going to believe the Patriots no matter what they say, and there are going to be people who back the Patriots no matter what they say. And the Bengals believe that the Patriots did something wrong. They really believe that they taped the sidelines in an illegal way. The Patriots have acknowledged wrongdoing, but said it was inadvertent and with an independent group that was not a part of their football operations. So everybody can be right about everything. The bottom line here, Laura, is that the NFL has the actual tape. This isn't one of those cases where there's accusations from one side and denials from another, and no one knows what's real and no one knows what's not. It's in the hands of the league. The league has the tape. The league can look at the tape and make a determination about whether the Patriots were wrong or whether they were right, or whether they were justified or whether they weren't. And from that tape that's in the league's possession, there is the answer to what should or shouldn't be the amount of discipline.
Right. So when you lay it out that way, the complicated seems quite simple. And knowing that they have this tape, what does that timeline look like to getting this resolved?
Roger Goodell and Troy Vincent said yesterday they're going to take their time with the decision. But again, I come back to this. What do they need to take their time about? You talk to the Patriots, you talk to the Bengals, you have the tape. It should not be an overly difficult decision to make. The facts are in their possession. They say they'll take their time. I don't think it'll take that much time to get this done.
Of course, the Patriots and the Bengals playing this weekend. More from Shefty coming up. But Greeny, other controversy in the league has to do with the Cowboys.
Yeah, and I can solve this problem. Now, we've talked a lot about them, and as you are probably aware, despite not having beaten a team with a winning record this year, and despite not having a winning record themselves, the Dallas Cowboys not only have a very good chance of making the playoffs, but also of hosting a playoff game as a divisional champ. You see the number on your screen. The Cowboys have a 67% chance to win the NFC East. And if the playoffs started today, they would host the 10-3 Seahawks in the first round. The Eagles have the other 33% chance to win that division. If they win it, they would host the Seahawks. Yesterday, the commissioner addressed the possibility of reseeding the playoffs.
This is not the first time this conversation's occurred. Where the situations occur. As you know, teams go into the season, the first objective is to win the division. That's what they work on. Is we win the division, we get in the playoffs. And that is something that we've considered over the years. I have not heard that this year. I don't anticipate hearing it again. Again, it's been discussed in the past, but I don't see that as an issue.
All right, Mina Kimes, let me make his to you, because I think Goodell will listen to you.
Oh, wow.
Everyone seems to be so excited by you. I feel like he'll listen to you.
I'm on, but
I do not believe in reseeding. I don't think you should just take the 6 best records in the NFC and put them in. I think that winning the division should count for something. But it is very simple, and I have proposed this as the Greeny rule. Once you seed the playoffs, once you get them in the way you do, give home field advantage to the team with the better record. So with this game, and I know that you are a Seahawks fan, so I get that it is sort of skewing the argument perhaps, but taking that out of it for the moment, the Cowboys would just play at the Seahawks. The matchup would be the same, but the team with the better record would have the home field advantage, and a division championship would break a tie. So if they had the same record, you would give it to the division champ. It doesn't seem that complicated. It wouldn't really change anything, and you would still put value on winning the division. That is the Greeny plan. What do you think?
I'm on board.
Okay.
I mean, look, the Seahawks,
Roger, why are you not listening to this?
Seahawks obviously benefited from this. We could all remember the 7-9 team getting the Saints. That, of course, led to one of the greatest moments in NFL history. Beastquake. Seahawks won. But ultimately, I think it's not about teams like the Seahawks. It's about teams like the Chargers last year, who had to go all the way on the road twice, back and forth. It becomes a travel issue for some of these teams who are better, and I do think deserve to play at home.
What do you think, Nate?
I mean, I think you guys have a valid argument when you're arguing for fairness, but I don't care about that. I care about entertainment, and entertainment to me is high stakes situation. And I think the higher you can make the stakes for winning the division, like, it makes it more exciting. It makes games that will be less relevant more relevant. It makes games that won't decide anything decide a big thing, because in a one game playoff, home field advantage matters.
You break a tie, D-Wood, because you're bigger than both of them. So go ahead.
We're crafty.
I'm a hardliner. I think I put so much on winning the division, because I'll give you a prime example. The AFC North, I guarantee you in the offseason, teams are going to look at this whole Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, and all that, and they're going to draft and scheme and do things to try to adjust to what Baltimore is doing. That's why everyone always said winning the division is number one. That's the first thing you got to do.
That's an excellent point, because it speaks to also entertainment. I think diversity is important in entertainment, and diversity of styles. If you make it so that just winning the most games is what matters, that changes it. If you make it the division matters, it makes you have to craft your game to your team to beat the teams in your division.
That's not what he's saying. He's still saying when the division matters.
Right.
He's just saying you shouldn't get an unfair edge.
It matters more this way.
The Cowboys or the Eagles are going to host a playoff game. How many of their wins will wind up having been inside the division itself? I mean, that's the reality of it. It is much harder to go 7-9 in the NFC West than it is to go 7-9 in the NFC East. I mean, I understand that you don't care about.
But you know what? Seahawks, go win your division.
Yeah. Go win the division. Put them in the NFC East. They'd have won it by now. They'd be resting their starters already.
This could be the Niners, by the way. If the Seahawks win out, it's the Niners who are having to go to Dallas. How do you feel about that? Is that fair?
No, it's not fair.
I don't care about fair.
It's not fair, but it's fun to watch.
It's not fair.
It sure is fun to watch.
In the meantime, while I have you here, Mina, I would like to get your take just on the Cowboys in general, because that has been a big topic of conversation here on a daily basis, and we're trying to assign blame for what has been arguably the most, maybe this side of Cleveland, the most disappointing season in the NFL. You look at Jerry Jones and all the things he has done and all the things he has said. You look at Jason Garrett and all the things he hasn't done and everything else. Where do you assign the primary blame for what has gone wrong in Dallas?
You ever go to the Whole Foods buffet and everything looks good? You're like, ooh, mac and cheese, samosas, falafel. I like all these things. And then you walk out and you look down and you've got 4 pounds of slop. And you're like, none of this works together. These are all things I like, but this is disgusting. That is the Dallas Cowboys. They have all the pieces.
The queen of analogies.
They have all the good stuff, but somehow it's just 4 pounds of slop. And when you end up in that situation, you put on who put that slop together? It's the coach and the GM.
I mean, I kind of don't mind. That sounds delicious, honestly. It hasn't worked out in this case, but
The difference in the Cowboys is they wouldn't be organic. Okay, we will get much more as we go. Laura, let's catch up on some of the issues around the league.
Mina just described Neek's breakfast from yesterday, but anyway, let's run the hurry up with some injury updates from Chef D. Adam, what's the latest on Adam Thielen?
Back at practice, Laura. He has not played in 4 weeks, but he is expected to be out there on Sunday when they play the Chargers. Looks like they'll get him back, which is a boost for this Vikings offense as they get ready for a post-stretch run here down the stretch to try to put away a playoff spot. They're a much more dangerous offense when Thielen's out there. Looks like they'll have Thielen and Diggs against the Chargers.
Speaking of help to make an offense more dangerous, how about the status of Julio Jones?
Yeah, limited at practice on Wednesday with that shoulder injury, and this has really been the case with him throughout the course of the season. Now, last week he was limited. and wound up playing. Again, still a struggle on the touchdown front, is not produced there as much as you'd like. This Falcons team is fighting to try to keep Dan Quinn's job limited. Looks like maybe he'll be able to go again in a limited way.
Yeah, fantasy owners, including myself, waiting on that update. Okay, Steelers have been missing Juju Smith-Schuster and James Conner. What's the latest with those two?
And this is good news for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Both have been back at practice. Both believe they're going to wind up playing this